I know you may have questions about the syntax, about this demo. Perhaps what I should do is to post this code as a sample, so you can essentially go back to the source code of those things, and that's what I'll do. I guess next item on the agenda: overloading functions. In C, all function names must be unique across all modules, right? So if you use the C programming language standard and you do some C programming, all function names must be unique. Which means that it's just like the rule exists for that redeclaration of local variables is a no-no. You cannot do that. You cannot just have integer x and later on redeclare it, say, double x or integer x. There would be instant error by the compiler saying you cannot redeclare variables. In C, the same thing. It's going to say, okay, this function already was specified elsewhere, so therefore you cannot do this. In C++ and other programming languages, Java, C#, and so forth, you can actually reuse function names. For example, in one of these examples, if I pick maybe student class, it says reset GPA, but I may have another version of it which would set reset GPA and take I don't know, int GPA. I don't know what it means, but I can recycle the name of a member function once it's being defined inside the class, in this case inside the class, simply by using different lists of parameters. It is okay. It's called function overloading, and the compiler, when those functions are called, I guess I already killed the code that was trying to use the student, but the compiler will decide which one to call simply by examining the parameters that are being used. For instance, in my main, if I might, by the way, I'm still debugging, so I will just stop debugging. Right? So I'm going to go back to my main function, and since I've created the student class, so I'm just going to say student I don't know, ABC, I don't know what to name it. So in this case, I have a student, and I could say, if I say reset GPA, that's what it's going to do. Let me save everything. So reset GPA, it's called to this reset GPA. If I want to say reset GPA with the value 2.0, that is going to be calling this member function. So this is called overloading functions, and overloaded function resolution takes place during the compile time. Okay, so that's the example. So for C++, those are two different functions, and it's okay. Doing something like this in C would be an error. The compiler would say, no, I cannot do that. You must come up with brand new name for each unique function that you create in your code. In C++, overloading of functions is permitted, and quite frankly is a very useful feature, so that because fundamentally those two functions should do the same thing, right? In fact, let me do it this way. If I have student CPP, and this is my implementation file, if I wanted to add the second function right here, right? So I have to prefix the function in the implementation file by using the class name, right? So that's the scope of it, replacing, giving the function the real body. And here saying GPA, well, I guess I am using the same variable name, which will overshadow my member variable name. I guess that's one of the reasons why we could name our member variables m underscore, right? So if I change this just to m underscore, and here if I change it to m underscore, so basically say, okay, you gave me the parameter, you passed the GPA to this reset GPA, and I set it, right? I just remember it in my member variable right here. Oh, by the way, it's a double, so I probably should just stick with the double for the type of variable to be consistent, right? So then this particular version could, in fact, simply say reset GPA and make a call to this version of the function. Okay, so it makes completely makes sense, because okay, I came up with this very specific version of the function, and now I have this special case. I just can tell them, okay, you don't have to use any parameters, you can call reset GPA. So what this one does is basically calls this one and passes 0 as an input parameter, which of course will be stored inside my object. Okay, so this is clearly function overloading, two different functions, and this function makes a call to this function. And the compiler will say, oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yes, I have a matching function based on the parameter list, and sure, I'll make a call, right? So it'll work. So again, to verify that all of it works, I can just basically try to compile it and make sure it compiles. There are not too many syntax errors. I'm not going to run it. It's just to make sure that it all compiles. So this is our introduction. Again, we're going to see more and more and more and more of all of this, but this is our first view and first look and feel for function overloading. Yes, question?
Can you overload with the return parameter?
No, you cannot. Yes, very good question, and I think it's part of our discussion. If I just said, oh, this function should return an integer, the return type, the different return type, same set of input parameters, does not help function overloading resolution. Completely ignored. In fact, this will be an error. If we try to compile this, compiler becomes very unhappy. Just says no. Redefinition. Not good. The function overloading essentially, gets confused. It cannot go on with this. Good question. So let's make this segment.